The boy she mistreated because his father denied the pregnancy became her blessing. In a mockery village, where red dust paints every footpath and evening fires glow behind clay huts, lived Ngozi, a young woman carrying the weight of disgrace. When she got pregnant for a man named Ikenna, he denied her publicly. "That child is not mine," he shouted in front of elders, and the shame burned her heart like fire. Neighbors whispered. Women mocked her at the stream. Even her mother, out of anger, said, "You have brought shame to my name." When the child was born, a small, fragile boy named Nana, she looked at him and saw not love, but the man who ruined her life. "You, too, will bring me pain," she muttered as she wrapped him in old cloth. Nana grew under hunger and insults. His mother treated him like a stranger in her own house. As a little boy, he fetched firewood before sunrise, fetched water till his neck ached, and ate only leftovers. When he asked, "Mama, why do you never smile at me?" she barked, "Because you look like your useless father." At 5, he already understood silence better than words. At 7, he had learned to comfort himself when tears came. Sometimes, kind neighbors gave him food, but Ngozi would slap him if she found out. "Stop begging. You won't turn me into a beggar's mother." Yet, in his small heart, Nana still called her mama with love. When Ngozi later married a carpenter, she bore 2 more children, Amaka and Chibik. Her new husband tolerated Nana but reminded her often, "That one isn't mine." From then, the gap widened. Amaka and Chibik wore clean uniforms and ate fresh yam. Nana walked to school barefoot, carrying a cracked slate and a broken pencil. At school, his teacher often praised him. "Nana, you are the brightest in this class." But at home, Ngozi scolded him for staying too long reading. "Do you think books will cook soup?" One hot afternoon, Nana came home carrying a paper medal, best student of the term. He ran inside excitedly, smiling. "Mama, see what I got." Ngozi looked at it once, snatched it, tore it into pieces, and threw it in the fire. "Did I tell you to be reading when there's no food? Go to the farm and fetch cassava." That night, he sat under the mango tree as the wind carried the smell of smoke. He looked at the stars and whispered, "God, if I don't have a father, and my mother hates me, please become my friend." At 15, after another beating for eating too much, Nana could take no more. That night, while the village slept and the moon hung pale over the red rooftops, he sat awake beside the cold hearth, hugging his knees, listening to the wind breathe through the cracks in the clay walls. His body ached, but his heart ached more. He had no father to run to, no mother's arms to hide in, only the quiet promise that somewhere, beyond Amakara's dusty paths, peace might exist. Before dawn, when the first cock crowed, he packed what little he owned, a torn shirt, a broken pencil, a small exercise book, and his dreams, into a black nylon bag. He slipped into his worn slippers, one with a missing strap, and stepped out into the cool darkness. The village was silent. The air was heavy with dew and the faint smell of smoke from dying fires. The red road stretched ahead like a thin ribbon disappearing into the fog. As he walked, the ground felt cold beneath his feet. His breath came out in soft clouds, his tears hidden by the night. He did not look back. Behind him stood the life that had bruised him, a mother too broken to love, a home too hard to stay. Ahead of him was nothing certain, only the whisper of freedom and the rising sun. When the first light touched the earth, it found him still walking, a small figure alone in the wide silence, carrying not just a bag, but the hope of beginning again. He packed his torn shirt, an exercise book, and a worn-out slipper into a black nylon bag. He walked for hours till the dusty road opened into the small town of Ikakur. There, he slept under a shed beside a mechanic workshop. When the workshop owner, Mr. Okuri, found him the next morning, he asked, "Boy, why are you sleeping here?" "I have nowhere else to go, sir," Nana said quietly. Moved by pity, Okuri gave him bread and tea. "If you're willing to work, I'll train you." That became the beginning of everything. Mr. Okuri treated him with firmness but kindness. He made Nana sweep the yard, wash tools, and later taught him to repair engines. Within months, the boy's intelligence shone. He fixed a carburetor faster than grown apprentices. "You'll go far, my son," Okari would say. "Pain trained you. Use it well." For the first time in years, Nana felt what fatherly love meant. He worked through pain, learned under pressure, and saved every naira he could. By 22, Nana became one of the best mechanics in the town. He earned enough to rent a small room, bought new clothes, and started night classes. People began calling him Engineer Nana. When customers praised him, he only smiled and said, "God found me when no one else did." After years of struggle, he moved to Owerri, opened a modern automobile workshop, and even trained other boys from poor backgrounds. His humility made people trust him, and soon, contracts began coming in from transport companies and local businesses. Years passed. One morning, an old neighbor from Amakara walked into his workshop, surprised to see him successful. "My son, your mother is not well," she said. "She's been bedridden for months. Your siblings have left her." For a moment, old memories stung him, the hunger, the slaps, the names. He sat quietly, breathing deeply. "Where is she now?" he finally asked. "In the village clinic," the woman replied softly. That night, Nana couldn't sleep. Inside his heart, two voices battled, pain and mercy. Before sunrise, he packed food, clothes, and money and set out for Amakara. When he entered the small clinic, he saw her, older, frail, lying on a bamboo bed. Ngozi's eyes widened. Her lips trembled. "Nana?" He nodded, smiling gently. "It's me, Mama." She turned her face away in shame. "Don't call me that. I failed you." He moved closer, placed his hand on hers. "Mama, you were hurting. I understand now. But your pain didn't destroy me, it built me." She began to weep. "I called you bad luck." He smiled faintly. "Maybe I was, until God changed the meaning." He paid her bills, bought her medicine, and carried her home himself. In the following weeks, Nana repaired the leaking roof, painted the old walls, and stocked the kitchen. Every evening, he sat outside with her, peeling oranges and telling stories of his journey. One day, she looked at him and said, "If God can forgive me through you, then he is truly merciful." He replied softly, "Mama, you're my first home. I can't hate you." Months later, Ngozi recovered. The same villagers who once mocked her now pointed with pride, "That's Nana, the boy she rejected, now her strength." He built a new bungalow beside the old one and opened a small skill center for young apprentices. Ngozi spent her days sitting under the mango tree, blessing every passerby. Don't despise a child born in pain, they often carry tomorrow's peace. Moral: pain does not define destiny, love and forgiveness do. A rejected seed can still grow into a mighty tree. He was once called bad luck, but he became her blessing. In the years that followed, Amakara village changed, not just in the dust that now gave way to small paved roads, but in the way people began to speak of mercy, forgiveness, and destiny. And at the center of it all was the once forgotten boy, now known far and wide as Engineer Nana Okari, founder of Sunrise Skill Center, a place that had given over 50 young boys and girls a second chance at life. Every morning, the sound of hammers, engines, and laughter filled the air as apprentices worked under the mango trees. Ngozi would sit on her woven mat, a wrapper tied around her chest, watching them proudly. Sometimes she would call out, "Chijioke, tighten that bolt well. Don't be lazy like I once was." The young boys would laugh, and she would shake her head and smile, remembering her own journey, a journey from bitterness to grace. Nana had transformed the compound into something beautiful. The old mud house where he once slept hungry had been rebuilt into a painted bungalow with white walls and glass windows. A small plaque beside the door read, "To Mama, for all the lessons pain taught." When people asked why he wrote that, he would smile and say, "Because pain can teach what love sometimes forgets." Ngozi would often touch that plaque when she passed by. Sometimes tears would fill her eyes, and she would whisper, "My son, I called you a curse, yet you became my comfort. May no mother's mouth curse her child again." Amakara soon became known for its skill center. Parents brought their children from nearby towns, Orlu, Mbano, Ihiala, to learn automobile repair, tailoring, phone repair, and welding. Some came just to see the man whose mother once rejected him, yet who turned his pain into purpose. One afternoon, a reporter from a local radio station visited to interview him. "Sir," she asked, "how did you find forgiveness after all you went through?" Nana looked at the mango tree beside him, where he had once sat as a boy with tears in his eyes. "Forgiveness isn't found," he said slowly. "It's built, one choice at a time. Every time I wanted revenge, God reminded me of what I lacked most, love. So I gave it instead." The interviewer smiled, visibly moved. "And your mother?" "She's my peace now," he said simply. "I used to think I needed her apology to heal. But healing came when I decided not to wait for it." When the interview aired on Radio Owerri FM, the story went viral. People who had known him as Ngozi's bastard were silenced by awe. Letters began to arrive, some from parents seeking to reconcile with estranged children, some from people thanking him for inspiring them to forgive. One evening, as the orange sun dipped behind the palm trees, a car stopped in front of the compound. Out stepped a man in his late 50s, gray-haired, neatly dressed, holding a walking stick. Ngozi was the first to notice. Her eyes widened, her lips trembled. It was Ikenna, the man who had denied her all those years ago. He looked older, frilier, yet his eyes still carried that stubborn pride she once knew. "Ngozi," he said softly. "Long time." His voice cracked like an old door hinge. Ngozi froze. The years collapsed into that one memory, the day he stood before elders shouting, "That child is not mine." Pain, shame, and humiliation rose again like smoke. But before she could speak, Nana came out from the workshop, wiping grease from his hands. "Good evening, sir," he greeted politely, not knowing who the visitor was. Ikenna looked at him closely, his firm shoulders, confident stride, the familiar tilt of his eyes. You are Nana," he stammered. "Yes, sir," Nana replied calmly. "And you are?" The silence that followed was heavy. Ngozi's voice trembled as she whispered, He is your father." The air stilled. Even the distant sound of hammers seemed to fade. Nana looked from his mother to the man before him. Ikenna's lips quivered, but no words came. For a long moment, none spoke. Then Nana took a deep breath, walked closer, and said gently, "I used to wish to see you, sir. I had many questions. But I think I've already found my answers." Ikenna lowered his head. "I wronged you and your mother. Youth blinded me. Pride destroyed my heart. I came to beg forgiveness before death finds me." Ngozi's eyes filled with tears. "Forgiveness," she whispered. "After all those years of mockery, when I carried his shame alone?" Her voice broke. "You don't know what it cost me." Nana reached for her hand. "Mama, peace isn't a gift you wait for, it's one you choose to give." Turning to Ikenna, he said quietly, "You denied me before men, but I accept you before God. Not because you deserve it, but because I don't want your sin to live in me." The old man broke down, weeping openly. "I don't deserve this mercy," he cried. "No one really does," Nana said. "But God gives it anyway." That night, they shared a meal together, a strange, quiet reconciliation of a broken past. Ngozi couldn't stop crying, but her tears that night were not of bitterness, but of release. From then on, Ikenna visited often. Sometimes, he would sit under the mango tree beside Ngozi, their silence saying more than words ever could. And though the village still gossiped, this time it wasn't mockery, it was wonder. But life has its seasons. 2 years later, when everything seemed perfect, Ngozi's health began to fail again. The sickness returned, this time more quietly, more stubbornly. She grew weaker, her laughter softer, her steps slower. One evening, as the harmattan wind blew dust through the compound, she called for her son. "Nana," she whispered, her voice thin like smoke. "Come sit by me." He knelt in front of her, holding her frail hand. "Do you remember that night you left this house?" she asked. "Yes, Mama. I woke up before dawn and found your mat empty. I wanted to chase after you, but pride held me down. Every night after that, I asked God to protect you, even though I never said it aloud. Tears filled his eyes. You did. I did, she said, smiling weakly. I didn't deserve you, my son. But God gave you back to me. Don't ever let pain make you bitter. Let it make you kind. He nodded, his heart heavy. Mama, don't talk like that. You'll be fine. But she only smiled again. If I go before you, just promise me one thing. What's that? Keep blessing others the way you blessed me. Her hand trembled as she reached for his face. You turned my curse into a testimony. That's what true sons do. That night, as the moon climbed high, Ngozi slept, her face peaceful, her spirit free. By morning, she was gone. The whole of Amakara came out for her burial. It was the largest the village had seen in years. Even pastors and local leaders attended. The once mocked woman was now buried with honor, her grave surrounded by flowers and prayers. During his tribute, Nana stood tall, wearing a simple white shirt. His voice was calm but firm. My mother taught me two things, pain and repentance. Both became my teachers. She was human, she failed, but she also rose again. Let her story remind us, no life is too broken for grace. The crowd nodded, some weeping silently. As the last handful of sand fell on her grave, Nana whispered, Rest now, Mama. You finished your story well. Years rolled by. The Sunrise Skill Center grew into a foundation. Branches opened in other towns, Aba, Enugu, and Nsukka. It became a beacon for orphans, street children, and single mothers. Every student who graduated from the center carried one message written on their certificates. From pain to purpose, your beginning does not define your end. Nana married a woman named Adaora, a teacher who shared his passion for helping others. Together, they had 3 children, whom he named Peace, Hope, and Mercy. He would often tell them, Your grandmother was once called Shame, but she became Strength. Always remember that. Every year on the anniversary of Ngozi's death, they would visit her grave. Adaora would place flowers, and the children would pray. And after each visit, they would sit under the same mango tree where everything began. One evening, as Nana sat there alone, now older and wiser, a young apprentice approached him shyly. Sir, the boy said, people say you were born from shame. How did you become great? Nana smiled faintly. Because shame is a poor teacher, but pain, if you listen, can make you wise. The boy nodded thoughtfully. As he watched the sunset, Nana whispered softly, Thank you, Mama. The seed you once despised became a forest. Many years later, when Nana was old and gray, a new generation of apprentices gathered around him. He could barely walk now, but his voice still carried strength. He told them stories, of Amakara, of a woman named Ngozi, of forgiveness that heals wounds deeper than scars. And when he passed away peacefully one night, the villagers buried him beside his mother, under the same mango tree that had seen his tears, his prayers, and his triumph. On their graves, a stone tablet bore the inscription, She called him bad luck. He became her blessing. Together, they taught us that love is stronger than shame. And so, the boy she despised because his father denied the pregnancy became not just her benefactor, but the very soul that turned her pain into legacy. Moral lesson. No one is born a mistake. Pain can shape purpose, and rejection can prepare the heart for greatness. The past may bruise you, but it cannot define you, unless you let it. In every broken beginning lies the seed of redemption. What would you do if you were Nana? Forgive or walk away? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to this page for more stories.